Emma Morrison never could have known that a simple a fleeting moment of admiration for a photograph of the Canadian wilderness was the single click that would detonate her entire world. At 32, working as an English teacher in a small, rural town outside Sao Paulo, she had all but sworn off love. 2 failed relationships had left her emotionally exhausted and financially precarious. Her life had settled into a predictable rhythm: school, home, the gym on Saturdays, and the occasional dinner with her best friend, Claire Fontaine, a graphic designer who had moved to Brazil from Quebec years ago. Ironically, it was Claire who pushed Emma to sign up for the international dating app. "You need to broaden your horizons, Emma," she'd said, helping her set up a profile. "The men around here aren't worthy of you. Why not try to meet someone from outside? Canadians are nice, polite. And look, I'm living proof it can work." Emma agreed, more out of boredom than any real hope. She posted photos where she was smiling, listed her hobbies, reading, hiking, yoga, and her profession. Within 2 weeks, she had dozens of matches. Most were instantly forgettable. Hollow conversations, men clearly looking for nothing more than a fleeting distraction, some even married, clumsily trying to hide their wedding rings in poorly edited photos. But then, Connor McLeod appeared. The perfect man, or so it seemed. His first message was different. It wasn't the typical, generic, "Hey, how are you?" Connor had actually read her profile, commenting on a book she'd said she loved. Margaret Atwood is one of Canada's greatest writers. If you love her, you have to discover Alice Munro. I have a copy right here I'd be happy to send you, if you'd like. Emma was intrigued. She scoured his profile. Connor McLeod, 38, a civil engineer living in Vancouver, British Columbia. The photos showed a tall man with brown hair, lightly graying at the temples, and a warm, genuine smile. There were pictures of him on hiking trails in the Rocky Mountains, others at social events, a few with a golden retriever named Benson. He seemed truly authentic. He lacked that contrived, artificial gloss that so many online profiles had. "He seems too perfect," Emma told Claire over lunch, showing her the photos on her phone. Claire studied them intently. "Well, he's Canadian, lives in Vancouver, has a stable job." "Emma, not all men online are scammers. Sometimes you meet genuinely good people. But take it slow. Okay? Get to know him, one step at a time." The conversations between Emma and Connor quickly intensified. He was attentive, asking questions about her day, remembering small details she'd mentioned in passing. When Emma said she was stressed about a problem at work, Connor sent a 5-minute voice message with practical advice and words of encouragement. When she mentioned she loved mountains but had never seen real snow, he sent her videos of himself walking the trails near Whistler, with a promise, "One day, I'll take you to see all of this in person." After 3 weeks, they had their first video call. Emma got ready nervously, changing her outfit 3 times before settling on a light blue blouse Claire said brought out her eyes. When the call connected and Connor's face appeared on the screen, her heart hammered against her ribs. He was even more handsome in real life, or, at least, real life through a camera. The conversation flowed effortlessly. He joked about her accent, she laughed at the way he tried to pronounce Portuguese words he was learning to impress her. "You're exactly as I imagined," Connor said at the end of the call, his blue eyes locking onto the camera in a way that gave Emma butterflies. Even more beautiful, actually. The next 2 months were an emotional roller coaster. Connor and Emma spoke every day, texts throughout the day, video calls at night, navigating the 5-hour time difference between Sao Paulo and Vancouver. He seemed genuinely invested in building something serious. He spoke about their future with a certainty that was both thrilling and a little terrifying. "I'm tired of being alone, Emma," he confessed one night, his voice a soft murmur through the phone. "I've had relationships, but nothing that really mattered. When I met you, it was different. You are different." Emma melted at those words. Finally, someone who saw her, who valued her. But there were strange moments she chose to ignore at the time. Once, Emma casually mentioned that a colleague had invited the teaching staff out for drinks. Connor became visibly agitated. "Men, at a happy hour?" he asked, trying and failing to sound casual. "Are you going?" "Connor, they're my colleagues," Emma replied, slightly irritated. "Of course I'm going. It's part of professional life." He apologized quickly. "You're right. I'm sorry. It's hard being so far away and picturing you surrounded by other men. I know it's silly of me, but I get jealous. It's because I care about you so much." Emma accepted the explanation. After all, it was flattering to have someone care that much, wasn't it? Claire noticed something else. "Emma, why does he never call you from anywhere else? All the calls are always from the same room, with that same beige wall behind him. Doesn't a civil engineer travel to construction sites? Doesn't he have an office?" "He works from home a lot," Emma defended. "It's common in his field. Projects, blueprints, calculations, it's all done online now." Claire didn't seem convinced, but she let it go. The biggest alarm bell came when Emma suggested maybe visiting him in Canada during her vacation in July. Connor's hesitation was palpable. "That would be amazing, but July is not a good time. I have a massive project that's going to consume all of my time. It would be awful to have you here and not be able to give you the attention you deserve." Emma felt a pang of disappointment, but he quickly made up for it. "What about September? In the fall, the colors of the trees in the mountains are breathtaking. And I'll have more free time then. I can take a few days off to show you Vancouver, Whistler, maybe even Victoria. It'll be perfect." September. Emma did the math in her head. That's during the school year. "I'd have to request unpaid leave." "Emma," his voice turned serious, almost intense. "If we're serious about a future together, you'll have to make this decision at some point. I'm not asking you to leave everything behind, but can't you invest a few days in us? To see if what we feel from a distance is real when we're together?" He was right. How could they build anything real without ever seeing each other in person? "Okay," Emma agreed, a mix of excitement and nerves swirling inside her. "September it is. I'll make it work." He beamed. "You won't regret it, my love. I promise." In August, 3 weeks before the planned trip, Connor called her unexpectedly on video. It wasn't their usual time. He looked excited, nervous. "Emma, I have to tell you something." Her heart sank. Was this a breakup? A terrible confession? Was he married? Connor took a deep breath. "I love you. I know it's early. I know we haven't even met in person yet, but I can't pretend or hide it anymore. I am completely in love with you, and I know you feel the same." Emma felt her eyes well up. "Connor, Let me finish," he interrupted gently. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about the distance, about the future. Emma, I don't want you to just be a girlfriend I see once a year when holidays allow. I want to wake up next to you every day. I want to build a life with you." He paused for dramatic effect, then held up a small, blue box. "Emma Morrison. I know this is crazy. I know we're doing everything in the wrong order. But when you know, you know. Will you marry me?" Emma was in shock. Marriage? Already? But at the same time, why not? She was 32, and she'd wasted enough time on relationships that went nowhere. Connor was stable, mature, and knew what he wanted. And she was in love. "Connor, this is so fast." "I know, my love. You don't have to answer now. When you come in September, bring your answer with you. But I wanted you to know my intentions. I want you to come not just to visit me, but to see your future home, if you say yes. To see if you can imagine living here, building a life with me." Emma barely slept that night. When she told Claire, her friend was deeply concerned. "Emma, a marriage proposal before you've even met in person? That's incredibly fast. Are you sure about this guy?" "Claire, I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes you just know, you know? He's different. I mean it. We've talked about values, family, the future. It's not just physical attraction. But it's about documentation, Emma, Claire warned gently. There are a lot of scammers who use marriage to get a visa, money, citizenship. He's Canadian, Claire. He doesn't need Brazilian citizenship. And financially, he's much better off than I am. He's an engineer, owns his own house in Vancouver. You know how expensive real estate is there. The scam doesn't make sense. Claire sighed. Just promise me you'll be careful. Okay? And message me every single day you're there. If anything feels strange, you get on the first flight back. September approached quickly. Emma used her savings to buy the ticket. Connor had offered to pay, but she preferred to maintain some financial independence. She requested 10 days of unpaid leave from school, inventing a family emergency to avoid explaining the real reason. Only Claire knew the whole story. At Guarulhos Airport, waiting for her flight, Emma got a text from Connor. Can't wait to see you in person, my love. I have everything planned. It's going to be perfect. I love you. She smiled, but a knot had formed in her stomach. It wasn't just the butterflies of excitement, but a cold sense of anxiety she couldn't quite place. During the flight, Emma struck up a conversation with the passenger beside her, a Canadian woman returning from a vacation in Brazil. First time in Vancouver, the woman asked kindly. Yes, I'm visiting someone. Oh, how lovely. Family? My fiancé, Emma replied, the words still feeling foreign on her tongue. How wonderful. Vancouver is a fantastic city, but it's also dangerous, like any big city. You have to be careful, especially as a visitor. There are a lot of predators out there. Emma thanked her for the advice but mentally dismissed it. Connor wasn't a predator. He was different. She was sure of it, wasn't she? The flight was over 15 hours long, with a layover in Toronto. By the time the plane finally landed at Vancouver International Airport, Emma was exhausted but buzzing with anticipation. She cleared immigration, where the officer asked several questions about the purpose of her trip, how long she was staying, and where she'd be lodging. She explained she was visiting her fiancé and showed her hotel reservation. Connor had advised her to stay in a hotel for the first few days, so as not to raise any red flags with immigration. She'd found his thoughtfulness charming. She walked out into the arrivals hall, her eyes scanning the crowd for Connor. And then she saw him. He was real. He was standing right there, in the flesh, holding a bouquet of yellow tulips, her favorite flowers, which she'd mentioned months ago. He'd remembered. Tall, just like in the photos, with that same warm smile and sparkling blue eyes. Emma, he said, and his voice was the same one from hundreds of phone calls, but different in person, deeper, more present. They embraced. He smelled of expensive cologne and something else she couldn't quite identify. Was it safety? Or was it danger? Emma couldn't tell. You came, he whispered in her ear. You really came. Of course I came, she answered, taking a step back to look into his eyes. I love you, Connor. I love you too, my love. Now come on. I have so much to show you. They left the airport hand in hand, Connor carrying her suitcase to the parking garage. The car was a large, imposing black SUV. He gallantly opened the door for her. As they drove through the city, the tall buildings, the mountains in the background, a glimpse of the ocean, Emma felt like she was in a dream. She was really here. In Vancouver. With Connor. I thought we could go straight to the hotel so you can rest, Connor said, his eyes on the road. Or if you're not too tired, we can take a little tour of the city first. It's up to you. The hotel is fine, Emma replied, stifling a yawn. I can barely keep my eyes open. Perfect. We can start the real tours tomorrow. I have everything planned. But when they reached the hotel, Connor didn't pull up to the entrance. He drove right past it. Connor, wasn't the hotel back there? Change of plans, he said with an air of casualness. I canceled the hotel. I found it ridiculous for you to be spending money on a hotel when I have this huge house. You're staying with me. I won't take no for an answer. Emma felt that knot in her stomach tighten. Connor, I thought we agreed it would be better for me to stay at the hotel the first few days. Emma, we're engaged. Or at least, I hope we will be after this week, he smiled, but there was something about the smile that wasn't entirely warm. Don't be so old-fashioned. Besides, my house is on the North Shore, right near the mountains. You're going to love it. It's much more beautiful than downtown. She didn't know what to say. Technically, he was right. They were adults. They were planning on getting married. Why would staying at his house be a problem? But a little voice in her head, one that sounded suspiciously like Claire, whispered, "First lie. He changed the plans without consulting you. You don't even know the exact address where you're going." Emma pulled out her phone and quickly sent a message to Claire. "Arrived safely. Connor's here. Everything's great. Small change of plans, I'm staying at his house instead of the hotel. We'll send you the address when I get there." Connor noticed. Texting someone? Just Claire. Letting her know I'm okay. Ah. A strange silence fell. Are you going to be texting others the whole trip, or are you going to pay attention to me? He laughed after he said it, as if it were a joke. But it didn't feel like a joke. Emma put her phone away. They kept driving. And driving. They left the urban core of Vancouver, taking progressively narrower roads surrounded by dense forest. With every kilometer, Emma felt more and more disconnected from civilization. "How much longer?" she asked, trying to hide the nervousness in her voice. "Another 40 minutes. My house is up high, a bit secluded. But the view is worth it. You'll see." Secluded. The word echoed in her mind. Emma looked out the window at the looming mountains, cloaked in dark trees against the darkening sky. And for the first time since deciding to make this journey, Emma Morrison began to wonder if she had made a terrible, terrible mistake. Connor's house was exactly as he described it, secluded, modern, with enormous windows overlooking the mountains. But what he hadn't mentioned was just how secluded it truly was. The property was at the end of a long, unpaved road, surrounded by miles of dense forest. The nearest house was at least a 15-minute drive away. "It's beautiful," Emma said, trying to sound enthusiastic as she stepped out of the car. The truth was, the silence of the place was unnerving. There was no traffic noise, no neighbors, nothing. Just the wind in the trees and the occasional bird call. "Just wait until you see the inside." Connor smiled, grabbing her suitcase. "I got everything ready just for your arrival." The interior was impressive. Minimalist decor, expensive furniture, a chef's kitchen. But Emma noticed something strange. There were no personal photos. Not a single one. No pictures of family, friends, not even of the dog, Benson, who had featured so prominently in his profile pictures. "Where's Benson?" she asked. Connor hesitated for a fraction of a second. "Oh, he's with my parents for a few days. I thought it would be better, so we could have some privacy for your first visit." It made sense. But something about his answer felt rehearsed. "Come on, I'll show you to your room," he said, leading the way up the stairs. "My room?" I thought. "Emma, I'm not going to pressure you," Connor interrupted gently. "I know we're just getting to know each other in person. We have time. I prepared the guest room for you. When you're ready, my room is open to you." She felt a wave of relief, and even a little guilt for her suspicion. He was being respectful. The room was beautiful, a king-sized bed, an ensuite bathroom, another enormous window with a mountain view. But when Emma went to open the window for some fresh air, she found it was locked. "Connor, the window won't open." He appeared in the doorway. "Oh, right. All the windows have security locks. Bears, you know. I had a problem once with one trying to get in. It's a precaution. Bears. Of course. That made sense in Canada. The first morning, Emma woke up disoriented, the jet lag hitting her hard. It was 5 a.m. She checked her phone and noticed she had no signal. She went downstairs to find Connor already awake, making coffee. "Good morning, sleepyhead," he joked. "Coffee?" "Connor, my phone has no service here." "Yeah, the Brazilian carrier doesn't work well in this region. But don't worry, you can use my Wi-Fi. The password's on the fridge." Emma connected to the Wi-Fi and was immediately flooded with messages from Claire. "Emma, answer me. Where is the address? I'm worried, friend. Confirm everything is okay." "Emma." She quickly replied. "Sorry, my phone has no service here. I'm fine. The house is beautiful, but very remote. Connor is perfect. I'll send you my location in a bit." When she tried to share her location, the GPS wouldn't work properly. The connection was strange. "Trouble with the Wi-Fi?" Connor asked, suddenly appearing behind her. Emma nearly dropped her phone. "You startled me." "Yeah, it's a bit slow. The internet isn't great up here. It's the mountain, limited infrastructure. But it's enough for the basics." The first 2 days were, on the surface, pleasant. Connor cooked elaborate meals, showed her the property, told her stories about the region. But little things started to bother Emma. He always seemed to know when she was on her phone, always appearing just as she was typing. Whenever she suggested going into downtown Vancouver, he always had an excuse. "Today's not a good day, the traffic is terrible." Or, "Let's do that tomorrow, I want you to rest today." And then there were the questions. Constant. "Who are you talking to? What are you doing? Why are you so quiet?" On the third night, at dinner, Connor brought out champagne. "A toast," he said, pouring the glasses. "To us, and to our future." Emma clinked her glass with his, but noticed he didn't drink from his own. "You're not drinking." "I can't. Started a course of antibiotics this morning, sore throat." "But you enjoy." She took a few sips. The champagne tasted a little bitter, but she chalked it up to being an expensive brand she wasn't used to. "Emma, I have to ask you something," Connor said, his tone turning serious. "Have you thought about my proposal? About marriage?" She was still processing everything, the remote house, his behavior, the small, strange signals. "Connor, I'm still just getting to know you. It's only been 3 days." His face clouded over for a moment, but he quickly smiled again. "Of course. You're right. I'm sorry to pressure you. I'm just so happy you're here." Emma started to feel dizzy. I think I'm still feeling the jet lag. Do you mind if I go lie down?" "Of course, my love. Go rest. I have a surprise for you tomorrow." Emma slept deeply. Too deeply. When she woke up, it was already 11 a.m. and her head was pounding. She grabbed her phone and saw a text from Connor. "Left breakfast for you in the kitchen. I'm in the office working. When you're up, come down. I need to talk to you." She stumbled downstairs. Connor was sitting at the living room table with a laptop open and several papers spread around him. "Good morning." "Or good afternoon," he smiled. "Sleep well?" "I slept too long." "That's not like me. It's the mountain air. It relaxes you. Come, sit here. I need to show you something." He turned the laptop towards her. On the screen were photos of a mountain trail. Breathtaking landscapes, crystal clear lakes, snow-capped peaks. "Remember I promised to take you to the real mountains? I've arranged a special trek for us. 2 days, 1 night of camping. We leave tomorrow." A feeling of dread washed over Emma. "Connor, I've never been camping. I don't have any gear. I don't know if. I've arranged everything. Tent, sleeping bags, food. It's going to be amazing. It's a private trail that a friend of mine who works in the park arranged for me. We'll be completely alone. Just you, me, And nature. Completely alone. Far from everything. The warning voice in Emma's head was now screaming. Let me just warn Claire. Emma. His voice was cold. Did you come all the way here to talk to Claire on your phone? Or did you come here to be with me? Connor, I just want to let her know where I am. You're with me. Isn't that enough? He took a deep breath, visibly controlling himself. I'm sorry. It's just, I feel like you're not fully here. You're always on the phone, always distracted. This hike is important to me. I want it to be special. Just the two of us. Emma didn't know what to say. Was he right? Was she being paranoid? Okay, she finally agreed. Let's go. His smile returned. Perfect. We leave at sunrise tomorrow. It'll be unforgettable. I promise. That night, Emma tried to message Claire, but the Wi-Fi was unstable. By the time she finally got a connection, it was late and she was too exhausted. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the oppressive silence of the forest outside. Somewhere in the distance, an animal howled. And for the second time, Emma wondered if she had made a terrible mistake. And tomorrow, she would be even more isolated, in the mountains. Alone with Connor. With no signal, no witnesses, and no way out. At 5 a.m., Connor woke Emma. Time to go. The earlier we start, the more of the day we can enjoy. She barely had time for breakfast. Connor had already loaded the SUV with enormous backpacks, camping gear, and a cooler full of food. Emma saw he'd packed provisions for far more than 2 days. Connor, is all this necessary? Safety, my love. The mountains are unpredictable. Better to be overprepared than underprepared. During the 40-minute drive to the trailhead, Emma tried to memorize the route. A left here, or right there, that sign. But everything looked the same. Trees, more trees, and unpaved roads branching off with no clear logic. Finally, Connor stopped the car in a small, empty clearing. There was no one else. No other cars, no park rangers, nothing. Where's your friend who works in the park? Emma asked. Oh, he's already gone. He cleared the trail for us yesterday. Trust me, it's normal protocol. It did not feel like normal protocol. Emma pulled out her phone. No signal. As expected. Connor, what if something happens? How would we call for help? He showed her a device clipped to his backpack. I have an emergency GPS with a satellite signal. Relax, everything is under control. But Emma noticed he didn't offer the device to her. He kept it in his own pack. The trail started peacefully. Tall trees, the scent of pine, the sound of birds. Connor was enthusiastic, pointing out plants and talking about the local fauna. For a moment, Emma almost managed to relax. But after 2 hours of walking, something shifted. Connor stopped talking. His face became serious, focused. The pace quickened. Emma started struggling to keep up. Connor, can you slow down a little? I'm not used to this. We need to make camp before dark, he replied without looking back. Come on. It wasn't a request. It was a command. Another hour passed. Emma's legs were burning. She tripped on a root and fell to her knees. Connor, wait. He finally stopped and walked back to her. But when he looked down, there was no concern in his eyes. There was irritation. Emma, we don't have time for this. Get up. I'm tired. I need a break. You'll get a break when we get there, he said, yanking her hard by the arm. Now get up and walk. His grip was too tight. It would leave a bruise. And for the first time, Emma felt a surge of genuine fear. This wasn't the sweet Connor from the video calls. This was someone else. When they finally arrived at the campsite, Emma realized it wasn't an official spot. It was just a clearing Connor had chosen. Utterly remote. She had no idea where they were or how far they had walked. I'm going to set up the tent. You rest, Connor said, dropping her backpack to the ground. Emma sat on a rock and took off her sneakers. Her feet were raw. Instinctively, she reached for her phone. Still no signal, of course. Stop looking at that damn thing, Connor said flatly. She looked at him, shocked. Excuse me? Your phone. Put it away. You don't need it out here. Connor, what is wrong with you? Why are you talking to me like that? He stopped what he was doing and walked slowly towards her. There was something in his eyes. Something cold and calculating. You know what your problem is, Emma, he said softly. You don't realize when you're in a situation you don't control. Her blood ran cold. You came to my country. You're in my house. And now you're out here where nobody knows exactly where you are. Claire, that annoying friend of yours? She has no idea where we are. That phone of yours, he gestured to the device in Emma's hand. No signal. No working GPS. There is no one coming to save you. Emma started to tremble. Connor, you're scaring me. Good, he smiled. But it was a smile devoid of humor. Maybe you need a little fear to understand how things are going to work from now on. Emma tried to stand, but Connor pushed her back down onto the rock. Sit. We're going to have a little talk. Connor, please, what do you want? What do I want? He let out a bitter laugh. Emma, I spent months preparing this. Months creating the perfect profile, saying all the right things, making you fall in love. And you walked right into the trap, just like all the others. All the others? That story about being an engineer? A lie. The house? It's a rental. The dog? Doesn't even exist. Everything, absolutely everything you think you know about me is a lie. Emma felt a wave of nausea. Who are you? I'm someone who's had enough of women like you who think they deserve a prince on a white horse. Who come here assuming they'll get a perfect life. Do you know how many women just like you I've brought to these mountains? The horror was thick in her voice. How many? Connor leaned in close, so his face was inches from hers. You're the fifth, Emma. And you know what happened to the other four? Silence. They never came back. Emma couldn't hold it in. She vomited on the ground beside her. Connor took a step back in disgust. You can clean that up later. Right now, you are going to do exactly what I say. First, you're going to give me the passwords to your phone, your email, and your bank accounts. Then, you're going to record a few videos telling everyone how happy you are. That you've decided to stay in Canada and you want them to stop looking for you. No one will believe that, Emma whispered. Oh, they will. The other families did. It's recorded. It's documented. You disappeared because you wanted to. Understood? Emma looked around desperately. Dense forest on all sides. No visible trail. She barely even knew which direction they had come from. And Connor was right. No one knew exactly where she was. She was completely, utterly alone, in the hands of a predator. Emma forced herself to breathe. Panicking now meant death. She had to think. She had to buy time. Connor, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. If you're just going to kill me, why do you need the passwords? Why the videos? He seemed impressed by the question. Clever. Smarter than the third one, who just cried for hours. He sat on a nearby rock, relaxed, as if they were having a casual chat. I'll tell you. I think you've earned the right to know. The passwords are to drain your accounts after the fact. Gradual transfers to various offshore accounts. Nothing suspicious, nothing to raise an alarm. And the videos, well, those are my insurance policy. Insurance against what? Against an investigation. See, Emma, I'm not stupid. I'm not some impulsive killer. I'm organized. Methodical. When a person goes missing, what's the first thing the police look for? signs that the person wanted to disappear. And when there are videos of her saying she's happy, that she found a new love, that she wants to start a new life in Canada, well, the case is closed. Adults have the right to disappear if they want to. Emma felt bile rise in her throat. And the 4 women? Did no one look for them? Oh, they looked, Connor shrugged. The first one's family even hired a private investigator. You know what they found? Videos of her saying she's in love, that she's getting married, that she doesn't want to be in contact with her family for a while. Hotel charges, store purchases, bank transactions, all traceable, all documented. But you did all that. Not her. Of course it was me. But how do you prove that? As for finding a body, he smiled coldly. They'll never find it, Emma. These mountains have 1,000 places. Deep ravines, icy rivers, wild animals. Nature does the work for me. Before it got dark, Connor forced Emma to record 3 videos. In each one, with a knife held just out of frame, she smiled a forced smile and said she was happy. That she had decided to stay in Canada. That Connor was wonderful. More emotion, he commanded. You're in love, remember? You're not being held hostage. Sell it better. After the videos, he secured her to a tree with a pair of real handcuffs. Did you get training for that? Emma asked, watching him lock the cuffs with professional precision. I used to be a cop, Connor replied casually. 10 years with the Vancouver police. I learned everything there is to know about criminal investigations. All the techniques. All the mistakes criminals make. He smiled. And all the ways not to make them. An ex-cop. It explained everything. He knew exactly how to avoid getting caught. Why are you doing this? Emma asked. She had to keep him talking. The more he talked, the more time she had. Connor stopped and looked at her for a long time. You really want to know? Yes. He sat down by the fire he'd built. My ex-wife. She left me 5 years ago. Cleaned out the bank accounts, got the house and the divorce, got custody of my daughter. And you know why? Because the judge believed her. Because she cried and said she was afraid of me. Lies. All of it. But the woman always wins, doesn't she? The system is always rigged in your favor. So you murder innocent women for revenge. It's not revenge, he said calmly. It's justice. You all come here assuming you'll get a better life, an easy marriage, a Canadian passport. You're all the same. Calculating. Manipulative. I'm just doing the world a favor. Emma realized she was dealing with someone completely detached from reality. He had created a narrative where he was the victim, and she was the villain. That night, Connor slept in the tent. He left Emma handcuffed to the tree with only a thin sleeping bag. The temperature plummeted. Emma shivered uncontrollably. Around 3 a.m., she heard something. Footsteps. Not Connor's, he was snoring in the tent. These were heavier. Then she saw it. A bear. Large, black, foraging for food. Emma froze. The bear crept closer to the campsite, drawn by the smell of leftover food. It started sniffing around Connor's tent. And then, a terrible, risky idea sparked in Emma's mind. It might be her only chance. She screamed. A piercing, blood-curdling scream. Bear! There's a bear here! Connor jolted awake. He scrambled out of the tent in a panic, not thinking to look first. The bear, startled by the sudden movement, charged. Connor screamed, trying to defend himself. In the confusion, he dropped the key to the handcuffs from his jacket pocket. It flew through the air, landing in the dirt just 1.5 feet from Emma. The bear and Connor were fighting. He had a knife and tried to fend it off, but the animal was far stronger. Emma stretched as far as she could, the cuffs digging into her wrists. Her fingers brushed the key. Almost. A little more. Connor managed to stab the bear, which, wounded, retreated into the forest. He collapsed to the ground, bleeding from his arm and face, gasping for air. Emma finally got a grip on the key. She fumbled with the lock, freed herself, and ran. She sprinted into the blackness of the forest, with no idea where she was going, as Connor screamed behind her, "Emma! You won't survive out there. Come back." But she didn't stop. It didn't matter what was in the forest. Nothing could be worse than Connor. Emma ran blindly through the woods, branches scratching her face, rocks cutting her feet through her thin sneakers. She had no idea which way she was going, only that she had to get away from him. Behind her, his voice echoed. "Emma, you'll die out there. There are bears, cougars. You have no food, no water." She kept running until her legs gave out. She collapsed behind a fallen log, panting, trying to make no sound. Silence. Just the wind in the trees and her own ragged breathing. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Connor was hunting her, methodically, using his tracking skills. "Emma, be reasonable." His voice was calmer now, almost gentle. "You're hurt. I'm hurt. We can make a deal. I'll take you back. You can get your things. I'll put you on a plane, no harm done. Just walk away and forget all of this." Lies. She knew it. He would never let her go alive now. Emma looked around. She had to think like him. Connor was a trained ex-cop. She was a teacher, but she'd read enough survival books. She remembered something. Predators follow tracks. She needed to make a false trail. She pulled off one of her sneakers and threw it as hard as she could to her left. The sneaker hit a bush, making a rustling sound. Connor immediately changed direction. "Got you." As he moved the wrong way, Emma slipped silently in the opposite direction, now barefoot, trying to leave no obvious tracks. The first rays of dawn began to break. Emma had been moving slowly and quietly all night. Her feet were bleeding. She was cold, hungry, and thirsty. But then she heard something else. Not the wind. Not an animal. It was running water. A river. She crawled to the bank. The river was wide, with a strong current. Emma remembered something Claire had once said about hiking in Canada. Rivers always lead somewhere. If you follow a river, you'll eventually find civilization. She drank the cold water straight from the river, then washed the blood from her feet. Then, on the other side of the river, she saw something that made her heart leap. A cabin. Small, old, but clearly man-made. There was a narrow footbridge about 50 meters upstream. Emma looked behind her. Connor could appear at any moment. She had to cross. Now. Emma staggered across the bridge, each step in agony on her wounded feet. She reached the cabin and pushed the door. It was unlocked. Inside was a small table, an old stove, a few cans of food, a ranger's or fisherman's hut. And more importantly, mounted on the wall, was an emergency radio. Emma scrambled to it and switched it on. Static. She fiddled with the frequency, like she'd seen in movies. "Hello? Can anyone hear me? I need help. I'm being hunted. Please." The cabin door flew open. Connor. He was covered in blood, the wounds from the bear still weeping. But his eyes held something worse than anger. They held amusement. "I figured it would take you longer," he said, breathing heavily. "But you followed the river. Exactly what I would have done. Exactly what I expected you to do." Emma looked around frantically. There was no other way out. "It's over, Emma. Game over." Connor took a step forward, and just then, a voice crackled from the radio. "This is Ranger Morrison. Responding to an emergency call. Please state your location and the nature of your emergency." "I repeat, state your location." Connor's eyes went wide. Emma screamed into the radio. "Hut on the river. A man is trying to kill me. Connor McLeod, former Vancouver police officer." Connor lunged for her, but Emma grabbed the only weapon she could see, a heavy, cast-iron skillet, and swung it with all her might, connecting with the side of his head. Connor staggered, fell to his knees, and Emma ran again. This time, with the voice of the ranger on the radio saying, "Location identified. Team is en route. Hold on, help is on the way." She just had to hold on. Just a little longer. Emma ran downstream until she heard the thumping sound of a helicopter. She waved her arms frantically, sobbing. 2 rangers and a police officer rappelled down. "Emma Morrison?" She collapsed. "He tried to kill me. There are other women. Easy now. You're safe." "Where's the perpetrator?" "Connor McLeod. Ex-cop. In the hut." The officers exchanged a look, radioing in to confirm the identity. Connor was found 3 hours later, unconscious and bleeding. He was taken to a hospital under guard. The investigation uncovered a house of horrors. The rental home belonged to a woman named Sarah Chen, who had vanished 3 years prior. Connor, whose real name was Marcus Brannon, had forged documents after murdering her. In the basement, they found the belongings of 5 women, passports, jewelry, photos. One of them was Emma. Searches in the mountains uncovered the remains of 3 of his victims. 2 were never found. At his trial, Marcus pleaded insanity. His lawyers cited trauma and PTSD. Emma testified, reliving every horrific detail. The families of the other victims were there. Sarah's mother thanked her through tears. "You brought my daughter home." Marcus was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But 2 families still have no answers, their daughters lost forever to the mountains. Emma returned to Brazil 3 weeks later. Claire held her in a long, tight embrace. "You were right about everything," Emma whispered. She started therapy, battling nightmares, panic attacks, and a deep-seated distrust. But little by little, she began to rebuild her life. 6 months later, she agreed to be interviewed for a documentary about the dangers of online relationships. "I want other women to recognize the signs," she said, her voice steady and strong. "The progressive isolation. The control disguised as care. The pressure to make decisions quickly. Trust your instincts. That little voice that tells you something is wrong, it's right."